How many of you know this character from Mahabharata, Chitrangada? Chitrangada, you know her? You know? Huh? It's a very, very tiny little mention in Mahabharata, in Rishi Veda Vyasa's Mahabharata, but the story has been picked up in two different ways and retold in two different ways. So I thought I'll bring all three tellings of this story, because in that diversity of tellings of this story, different aspects of love and different aspects of identity, gender relations come up, and we can explore the idea of love and relationships in different ways. Interestingly, I could not find much art inspired by Chitrangada. I just found one Kantha piece, which is what you see here, because Rabindranath Tagore wrote a play, Chitra. He just called her Chitra rather than Chitrangada. So only a couple of Bengali things came across. There are some pop art kind of things, but I did not feel inspired by them. So what I'll be sharing is, starting with the original version as it appears in Mahabharata, Veda Vyasa's Mahabharata, then some portions from Tagore's telling of the story, and then some portions from Sri Aurobindo's unfinished poem on Chitrangada. Okay, so you can see the difference quite clearly. Chitrangada was a warrior princess. She was a warrior. So the story is how it appears in Mahabharata. Okay, is that it's in the Parva, where that section of Mahabharata when Arjun is on a 12-year exile. Right? You know the backstory that the arrangement was that Draupadi is going to be with one husband for 1 year, and if anyone enters their chambers, their palace, that person will choose self-imposed exile as a punishment. The idea was that no one should intrude in her privacy when she is the wife of one of the brothers. Those of you who don't know this part of Mahabharata, how many of you don't know this? Okay, maybe one or two? Okay, anyway, so Draupadi is the central female character in Mahabharata, who is married to 5 brothers. And there is also a backstory behind that. There is always backstory. That's the beautiful Indian tradition of storytelling. But due to certain circumstances, she ends up marrying all 5 brothers, but she puts certain conditions very clearly, that I am going to be the wife of one brother for generally a year, as long as I give you one son, and then my role as wife is over. Next brother and things like that, 5 sons. The idea was that this way the 5, because she was so beautiful, there was a beginning of a jealousy among the 5 brothers. So it's told in a certain story format, which we need not go into. So to keep the family united, and the idea was that she would be the wife for all the 5 brothers. And but after her purpose as a wife and giving a son to each brother is over, she will remain as the empress of the clan, because these were princes. So she plays the role of empress. Nothing moves without her consent, a very strong woman. But anyway, so when she is with one of the brothers, and the condition was that none of the other brothers should interfere in the privacy. So when she was with, I think, Yudhishthir, Arjun, the third in the order, it's Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul and Sadev. Nakul and Sadev are twins. So when she's with Yudhishthir, there is some fighting going on in the kingdom, and some people come and ask for Arjun's help. Arjun is the primary warrior among the brothers. Bhim is also a warrior, but Arjun is always ready to go and fight for the good cause. So they come and they ask Arjun, please save our cattle, the neighboring kingdom is stealing, or something like that. For some reason, as story has to happen, unfold, the weaponry, the path to the armory goes through the palace where Yudhishthir and Draupadi are staying. So he has to go through their private chambers. And he goes, picks up his weapons from the armory and does what needs to be done. But then he says, now I have broken the vow, so I give this punishment to myself that I will go for 12 years in exile. I will wander around and this and that. Both Draupadi and Yudhishthir say, no, you were following the dharma of a prince. You were not there to break, you didn't do it deliberately. Situation demanded it, so you need not go. It's all right. The relative situation. He says, no, no, no. Dharma is dharma, law is law, so I'm going to do it. Well, he wanders around various parts of the country. These are the literary techniques, you can say, the author, the composer, Veda Vyasa is using to first unite the whole land with the story, give a complete geography of the Bharat Varsh at that time. So different places are described and things like that. And also this is a time when Arjun also goes through a rigorous training of, in warfare. He gets all kinds of training in celestial weapons. He prays to Shiva at several places. He's blessed with new knowledge of warfare, all which will come handy when the big Kurukshetra war has to happen. So these are literary devices that the composer, the poet uses to build up his knowledge as a prince. So in one part, somewhere in the eastern India, he comes across a place which is mentioned as Manipura in Mahabharata. And in the Veda Vyasa's version, the story of Chitrangada is actually centered around Arjun, not so much as the princess Chitrangada. But it is mentioned very briefly that in this state of Manipur, he meets one woman who is a warrior, who is very good with all kinds of weapons, and he is mesmerized by her beauty and her strength. And he goes to the princess's father, King Chitra, I've mentioned this there, goes to Chitravahana, her father, and asks for her hand in marriage. And the king says, well, see, in my lineage, we've all had only one child, and always it has been a son. And in that old setup, it was always the son who leads the lineage, who leads the clan. But I've been blessed with a daughter, so that's why I have raised my daughter as a son. She's going to be, the next ruler in line, and her child will be carrying on my legacy as a king. So I'm okay because you are great Arjun warrior prince. So I'm okay with all this is happening between the father-in-law and the Arjun. I'm okay as long as you promise me that the firstborn child becomes the king of my kingdom. You don't take the child with you. Arjun is so mesmerized, he says yes. So the Mahabharata stories, it continues. They get married. Marriage happens. Within a year, there is a son. And then Arjun leaves, walks away. He looks at the son. He says, great, 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 bye-bye. And he goes. That's all Veda Vyasa mentions, right? Nothing much. But then the story reappears after several sections in the Ashwamedh Parv. Quite a big time has elapsed, and Mahabharata war has happened, and also now Yudhishthir, who is now crowned as king of Hastinapur, of the entire Indraprastha and Hastinapur, he is going to perform this great Ashwamedh Yagna, which was basically a way at that time in Indian polity that these yajnas were performed to bring diverse kingdoms under one flag. So they would owe their allegiance. So it was a way of uniting the different kingdoms together. So at that point, so the idea was they would let loose a horse, and wherever the horse would go, they would go to that kingdom and ask these were smaller kingdoms, do you owe allegiance? It was not a conquering. They wouldn't take away their land or anything. That do you owe allegiance to King Yudhishthir, Emperor Yudhishthir. So you come under our protection, our flag. So they'll become their, in a way, guardians also, because Hastinapur was a big empire. And these small kings would usually agree. Well, the horse is going and the horse ends up in the place where after many, many years, the son born from Chitrangada, Babru Vahana, is now old enough. And now the story becomes another Nayak-centric, again hero-centric. You see where I'm going? The female part is very less in the way Veda Vyasa is told. So even though it is about Chitrangada, but always in connection with now the son. So Babru Vahana, if you catch the horse, if you hold the horse, in a way you are challenging the Emperor Yudhishthir. So he ends up controlling the reins of the horse, and Arjun comes, he sees Arjun, and Babru Vahana has been raised so beautifully by his mother that he knows he's Arjun's son, and Arjun, the third brother of the Emperor Yudhishthir. And he sees Arjun, he recognizes him, and he drops his weapon. And he's also a strong warrior. He drops his weapon, and Arjun asks, you are a Kshatriya? If you are a Kshatriya, you're a warrior, pick up your weapon and fight. And he says, no, you're my father. I am Chitrangada's son. I'm your son, so I'm not going to this thing, take your horse and just, fine, it's okay. We will owe allegiance to Emperor Yudhishthir. In between, the way Veda Vyasa is telling the story, another character comes. Her name is Ulupi. Ulupi is another princess of the Naga clan. Now, in those 12 years of exile when Arjun was, after breaking that vow for Yudhishthir and this thing, Arjun does 3 marriages. Whatever. Ulupi, Chitrangada, and Subhadra. Subhadra is the only one. Subhadra is Krishna's sister, whom he abducts at the request of Krishna. But we will not go to that story. That's why I said in that children's session in Mahabharata, there is no black and white. Everything is gray. And that's the beauty of it. Now, as this, the son is reluctant, the father is saying, no, if you're a warrior, pick up your bow, bow and arrow, whatever, do the fight. Enters Ulupi. Now, Ulupi, the story behind Ulupi is that one time during his exile, he was taking a bath in river Ganga, and usually rivers, there are snakes in it. So there is a Naga clan. Nagas are not just snakes, but like you can call them, well, it's a Naga clan. It's in the sense they can be snakes, they could be shape-shifting, But this Ulupi is a Naga princess. But they live in the nether worlds. So that's how, we just think of earth as the only world. To our ancestors, to our poets like Veda Vyasa, there were many planes of existence. So in the nether worlds, Nagas, they have their own clan of kings and queens. So Ulupi sees Arjun swimming in the river Ganga, and she just falls for him. This is love at first sight at the physical level. That physical love at the first sight, Ulupi's story is a perfect example for that. No craving, no demand, no expectation, only one simple thing. You are so beautiful, Arjun. All I ask is spend one night with me, give me one son. You do not have to stay back at all. You are free to go wherever you want. And I will make sure that I get one son from you in that one union. And Arjun, now the other part of the vow which I didn't tell you was in those 12 years of exile, they were supposed to practice celibacy. There goes Arjun's 3 marriages. So Arjun says, no, I have taken a vow of celibacy. I am on exile. And then Ulupi teaches her. This is where I love Mahabharata. Ulupi teaches him dharma. She tells him, see, your dharma was that you will stay celibate on, in that kind of civilization to which you belong, which is human civilization. I too am Naga princess. We have different set of rules, different set of dharma. So in our community, it is absolutely fine. And I'm not asking you to marry or anything, just one night of union. Give me one son because you're so beautiful. I want to have a son as beautiful as you. So Arjun is convinced, you're absolutely right. And then she also says, look, if you do not fulfill my desire, because I am in the prime of this desire, this is physical love at its highest. I am really burning with my desire for you. If you don't do this, that is also a dharma. And now Arjun is convinced, yes, you're absolutely right. I cannot commit this adharma. And they spend one night and she has a son. And this son also plays a role in the Kurukshetra war. But I just want to bring Ulupi here only for this part, because in this Chitrangada story, she enters. And she is the one who tells Babru Vahana, look, you have to fight Arjun. Your father is right. You are a warrior. You have to fight. And she instigates him. So Babru Vahana starts fighting. And the fight becomes so intense. Most of the description of Veda Vyasa at this point is not about love, but about the battle. Very interesting. It's about the battle. The details of the battle are there and there and there. And then Arjuna is killed. Arjun is a great warrior, but the son is a better warrior. Arjun is killed, and then enters Chitrangada. Chitrangada is shown again as a weak woman. She starts weeping and she starts blaming Ulupi. We have to understand as readers that for somehow or the other, these two co-wives might have met. They know each other. And Chitrangada starts blaming Ulupi. Why did you instigate my son to fight? Now he has killed his father, this and that. So she's weeping and all that stuff is going on. Then Ulupi says, don't worry. I'm going to revive Arjun. And Ulupi says, I have a certain potion I will give him. And because I am, Naga princess and I have all these magical things with me. So he's going to be okay. And she revives Arjun. And then she reveals why he had to be killed and then revived, brought back to life. She says, once when I was there under, in the water and all that, I heard some people say that in the Kurukshetra war, Bhishma, who you had killed, but you had killed with a certain deception. I don't know how many of you know the story of how Bhishma was killed. A woman was put in front, right? Shikhandi. That she was put in front, and Bhishma had all those people had taken vows. Bhishma said, I would never lift a weapon against a woman. So he could not have been killed otherwise. Bhishma was on the other side. So at the behest of Krishna, the mischief maker, they put a woman, Shikhandi, who was in previous life a woman, but now born as a third gender. She comes in front, but Bhishma recognizes this is a woman from the previous life, and I'm not going to put my, he drops his weapon, and then he's killed. Shikhandi kills him, right? So because of this deception, you had killed Bhishma, so you had to pay a price that you had to be killed one. But at that time, I didn't want you to be killed because you are still my husband of that one night. So I made sure that you were killed so that I could bring you back to life, so that your curse will be over. This is all that we have in Mahabharata. Kind of a side story, that's why we don't find much reference to it. But leave it to Indian storytellers like Rabindranath Tagore. He wrote a full play on Chitrangada in 1892, and at the request of a literary or a theatrical company in the US, who at that time were interested in putting a production for Chitra in the US, he also made an English translation. Now, he makes the story a completely Naika-centric and love-centric. It's Chitrangada's love for Arjun that comes out, but within that story, many other things he adds. But that some of the themes that get added in the way Tagore is telling the story is the concept of love and beauty, the idea of gender identity, how much role does physical beauty plays in any love relationship, the sort of conflict or synthesis of love and strength, the triple harmony that I was talking about, and what is the role or what is the sort of confluence of true inner personality, our true swabhava, and our interaction with, or the role of love in our life, the place of love in our life. So it's a very long one. I've pulled out selected passages. So I'm just going to read few lines, few words from here and there. It's, I think, a 9-scene play, 1-act play, but 9 scenes. So the first scene, now Tagore has introduced 2 more characters. Mahabharata was very simple. Chitrangada, the son, the Arjun, and maybe a little bit of the father, right? Tagore introduces 2 characters, Madana and Vasanta. Vasanta is spring, the god of spring. The season of spring in Indian literary tradition is always associated with love and beauty, right? So Madana is the god of love, Kamadev. So the story begins, the first scene is when Chitrangada she is a warrior princess. She's been raised like a son, raised like a man. And she sees Arjun resting in a Shiva temple. And she goes and she says, oh, she finds out that he is Arjun. But then she remembered that, yes, I had heard that Arjun was wandering around in the exile because of what happened in Hastinapur. And he's also taken a vow of 12 years celibacy. But my gosh, he is so handsome, he is so desirable. I wish if I can have a relationship with him. Again, a woman taking the lead. See how the Naika-centric story is being built by Tagore. But she says, you know, I had heard story about this great warrior Arjun. And growing up, I used to think that if only I could have some combat with him, my warrior self will learn so much through that experience. This is when I had not seen him. Now that I have seen him, I'm ready to give up my entire warrior self only if I could become beautiful and be attractive to him as a woman. Not as a warrior, but as a woman. So she says, you know, I'm just going to read what Tagore's write. Many a day my young ambition had spurred me on to break my lance with him. Like, you know, use your swords and lance to challenge him in disguise to single combat, one-on-one combat, and prove my skill in arms against him. This is what she wanted to do before she had seen him. Now what she wants to do? Ah, foolish heart, whither fled thy presumption? Could I but exchange my youth with all its aspirations for the clod of earth under his feet? How love and romance can bring such weakness in this warrior. If for few minutes I could just take the earth of his feet, the dust under his feet, I should deem it a most precious grace. So love can play things with our own sense of identity, right? So she's telling this to Madana and Vasanta because Madana is the god of Kama, desire, and Vasanta is the god of spring, the season which is associated with love. And then she goes on, it's a very big scene. And then she tells what I did, because she's now become so foolish in her heart, seeing Arjuna's charm and beauty. She says what I did, she's reporting it to them. She says, next morning I laid aside my man's clothing, the warrior clothing. I donned bracelets, anklets, waist chain and a gown of purple red silk. She thought this is how I would look attractive to Arjun. The unaccustomed dress, she's not used to this kind of dress. She's changing her identity for love. How much we do or give up for love. Very interesting. The unaccustomed dress clung about my shrinking shame, but I hastened on my quest and found Arjuna in the forest temple of Shiva. Now, what happens when she goes there? Arjun sees and asks who she is, and she says, I am Chitra. In this play, her name is Chitra. She doesn't say who she is, the princess of, daughter of Chitravahana. I am Chitra, and you are so beautiful. I want to, would you accept me as your mate, become my lover, and things like that. And Arjun is very matter of fact, like he was initially with Ulupi. This situation comes after Ulupi. There is already a son with Ulupi somewhere. So now he says the same thing. But look, I have taken the vow of celibacy. I am not fit to be thy husband. Same dialogue he gives. And then, now look, Chitrangada is reporting to Madana. She says, look how harsh, how cruel men can be. The vow of a man. Surely thou knowest, the Madana and spring, the Vasanta, thou God of love, that unnumbered saints and sages have surrendered the merits of their lifelong penance at the feet of a woman. So many sages, so many rishis have given up their tapasyas and just become slaves to women. Can you do something? Can you make him my slave? I broke my vow in two. I break my bow in two and burnt my arrows in the fire. She's given up her entire warrior identity. How much love can love? The physical love, the initial stages of love. I hated my strong lithe arms scored by drawing the bowstring. And then she says, oh love, oh God love, thou hast laid down in dust the vain pride of my man-like strength, and all my man's training lies crushed under thy feet, because they are responsible for awakening the love in her. So she's blaming them. Now teach me thy lessons. Give me the lessons of love. Give me the power of the weak and the weapon of the unarmed hand. This is the point I wanted to bring out. She had the strength before she met this object of love. She is willing to give up her strength and ask for the weak. Ask for the lessons in becoming weak for the sake of romantic love. She is a warrior princess. I just wanted to bring that point out, how beautifully our poets have brought out this aspect. Give me the power of the weak. Love can also make us weak, right? In any relationship, it does not have to be romantic. Any relationship, love can also bring weakness with it. And the weapon of the unarmed hand. She says, if I had a very long time, I would do all kinds of seva for Arjun and I would make him love me. But I don't have that much time. I am not the kind of woman who nourishes her despair in lonely silence, because her swabhava, her temperament is of a warrior. So I'm not the one who can sit in my chamber and cry and let him, please God, make him love me, make him love me. No. But I want this immediately now. I can't feed it with nightly nears and covering it with the daily patient smile, a widow from her birth, which many women might have done, many girls might have done. I am not the kind, I am a warrior, so can you do something for me? So I'm just going to skip fast. Therefore I have come to thy door, thou world vanquishing love, and thou Vasanta, youthful lord of the seasons. Take from my young body this primal injustice. Just pay attention to how much he is willing to erase her identity for the sake of love. Take from my young body this primal injustice and unattractive plainness. Again, how, our notions of beauty have been shaped by certain conventions. For a single day, make me superbly beautiful, even as beautiful as was the sudden blooming of love in my heart. For a single day, she asks, make me beautiful, make me attractive to Arjun so that he will break his vow of celibacy. Right? I'm willing to give up all my strength and everything for the sake of that. Give me but one brief day of perfect beauty and I will answer for the days that follow. I will be your slave. I will answer to everything that you ask me if you just give me this one day. Now, Madana and Vasanta are happy to do that. Madana is the god of romantic love, right? He is the one who awakens desire. So they both grant her the boon and the love story begins. And then when next day she goes back to the Shiva temple, she says, oh, you Arjun. And Arjun, this is just how the initial conversation happens. Arjun says, yes, I am Arjun, the one that you are looking for, but now I have this great hunger of love for you. I find you very beautiful, very attractive. But then she reminds him, aren't you the one who also had taken that vow of celibacy? And he says, no, but looking at you, all my vows have gone away. See how the story has shifted? Earlier he was not saying, oh, I have taken the vow of celibacy. Now he has become the weak one, because now she has the strength of beauty. And then Chitra becomes the warrior in her, somehow comes out. It's the, see how our identity, we can't give it up that easily. She reminds him, shame on you. What have you seen in me that makes you so false to yourself? Whom do you seek in these dark eyes, in these milk white arms, if you are ready to pay for her the price of your probity, the price of your righteousness? You're willing to give up your righteousness for what? For these fair arms, for these dark eyes? This is not my true self, I know that. Surely this cannot be love. This is not man's highest homage to woman. This is not the kind of love I want, she says. But alas, that this frail disguise, the body, should make one blind to the light of the deathless spirit. Yes, now indeed I know, Arjuna, the fame of your heroic manhood is false. There was a time she used to imagine having a one-on-one combat with him, because she had heard stories about her great heroism. And now that she is beautiful and now he is willing to fall at her feet, she says, no, you're not the kind of hero that I had heard story about. How fickle romantic love is, right? But then Arjun says, no, no, all that manhood, all that fame, all that heroism is all vain. All that means nothing. Everything seems to me a dream. You alone are perfect. How romantic love can, he's now the same, because Madana is at work. You see, the god of Kama is at work. Now he's making Arjuna weak. He's making Arjuna give up his vow of celibacy. You alone are perfect. You are the wealth of the world, the end of all poverty. To see you for a moment is to see perfect completeness once and forever. See, now he's ready to fall at her feet because she's beautiful. Well, Chitra says, alas, it is not I, Arjun. It is the deceit of a god. It's a play of Kamadev. Go, my hero, go. She's still giving him a chance. Go, save yourself. Woo not falsehood. Offer not your great heart to an illusion. Go. But as Tagore would want the story to have, neither Arjun goes nor Chitrangada goes. They stick around and the love story begins. But as is always the case, where there is this kind of love, there is pain. Because the origin was desire, so pain comes naturally. And the way Tagore represents that pain is that Chitra herself goes through sort of self-questioning, because she's living under a false identity, right? She's not her true self. For the sake of romantic love, she's playing along. So then again she goes back to Vasanta and Madana, the two gods of love, and she says, this is a borrowed beauty. This falsehood that enwraps me day in and day out, I'm not able to live with that. So just pay attention to the words that I've put in bold. Lord love, this cursed appearance companions me like a demon, robbing me of all the prizes of love. Even though I'm very happy that Arjun is finally mine and I am Arjuna's, yet there is a falsehood around this. So it accompanies me day in and day out. When I woke in the morning from my dream, my nights are with him as a dream. When I wake up, I find that my body had become my own rival. It is my hateful task. See, the warrior is coming out. The truth always comes out. The romance fades away. It's not even been a year. The honeymoon is still going on. The truth starts to come out. It's my hateful task to deck her, because she's not even saying this is me, her, this artificial body with which I'm living. Deck her every day, to send her to my beloved and see her caressed by him. Oh God, take back thy boon. So the pain that comes with this kind of desire influenced love, or love that has desire at its origin. Madana says, but if I take it from you, how can you stand before your lover? Your lover is not going to recognize you. He only knows you in this body. To snatch away the cup from his lips when he has scarcely drained his first draught of pleasure. Abhi to it is just the beginning, so stick around. Let him have full pleasure of this, your company. You also enjoy his company. So stay a while in this body. Chitra says, well, if you take away the body, that would be better than this. Take away the artificial body. I will reveal my true self to him, which is a nobler thing than this disguise. If he rejects it, if he spurns me and breaks my heart, I will bear even that in silence. The true identity is beginning to come out. And then there is another scene, after a few scenes, Tagore puts in, that now after some time, Arjun is also beginning to wonder, who is this Chitra who is always serving me, doting after me, doing whatever I ask her to do? Does she have no identity of her own? So think about it, that at some point the other person would also start wondering, if one is totally doting on the other person, don't you have a life of your own? Don't you want to do anything of your own? Right? So Arjun has these questions coming up in his mind. My love, have you no home where kind hearts are waiting for your return? You're always with me. You never go anywhere. You never do any work. A home which you once made sweet with your gentle service and whose light went out when you left it. Now Chitra has taken on a different role. Why these questions? Are the hours of unthinking pleasure over? When we are in that honeymoon phase, it is unthinking pleasure. आजकल पाँव ज़मीन पर पड़ते नहीं मेरे, दोनों के ही नहीं थे. They were both in some place, but from time to time they will have these things bothering them, right? So now Arjun is asking, don't you have anything else to do? You're always around me. So she's saying, no, why are you asking these questions? Have you become bored of me? Are your hours of unthinking pleasure over? But Arjun then wonders, this is in silence. Arjun, has she no tie with the world? Is her entire world around me? Chitra says, yes, I am happy just by being your thing. And then Arjun says, this is why I can never completely possess you. I can never completely fathom you. And there is something about you that I always seem to miss. My heart remains unsatisfied. My mind knows no peace. Surrender yourself to the bonds of name and home and parentage, which is bind yourself to something. Bind yourself to me if you want to be in my clan, but don't remain this free wandering bird. Because remember what I told you about Veda Vyasa story, that is also there, Chitra Vahana's thing, that fine, you can marry whatever, but she's not going to go and the son will remain here. So Arjun now is telling, bind yourself to my family. At least you will have something more other than me. Let my heart feel you on all sides and live with you in the peaceful. Chitra says, no, why this vain effort to catch and keep the tints of the clouds, the dance of the waves? Let's just enjoy our pleasure. Let's just be who we are. No responsibility, no dharma, nothing like that. Well, then as the story unfolds, there is again a situation. Always the neighboring clans come disturbing the peace. And because Chitra is a warrior princess of this Manipura kingdom, this is not the Manipur that we know. Some geography people say it might have been slightly different, but it is on the eastern part of India. So the villagers come to Arjun and they tell him that, oh, this fight has happened, you are the great warrior and this and that. And Arjun says, can I help? Can I do something? As is his warrior temperament. They say, no, you don't worry. Our princess Chitra had taken care of everything. She's gone on some vacation and she had trained the people that while she's gone, how to take care of things. So then Arjun says, who is this Prince Chitra? Who is this Princess Chitra? I thought only you are Chitra. So now he asks this, who is this princess? And he asks his wife, the princess, the beautiful princess who is living in some disguise. I'm trying to imagine what kind of woman Princess Chitra may be. I hear so many stories of her from all sorts of men. Chitra says, but she's not beautiful. She's no such lovely eyes as mine. She's dark as death. She can pierce any target she will, but not our hero's heart. Arjun, they say that in valor she is a man and a woman in tenderness. So Arjun is now getting the fourth one, Subhadra comes at the end, but another one. She might be the one I'm looking for. Well, Chitra says no, she's not that beautiful, and that is her great misfortune, that in strength she's like a man and in tenderness she's like a woman. But then look what she says, the false identity takes over again. How much we go through the pangs of love. Well, that indeed is her great misfortune, when a woman is merely a woman, when she winds herself round and round men's hearts with her smiles and sobs and services and caressing endearments, then she is happy. This is the gender identity Tagore puts through, he puts out through Chitra's words. The only way a woman can be happy is when she has pierced her man's heart and when she winds herself round and round in serving her man. Then only she is happy. What will she do of strength? That's not going to make her happy. Of what use to her are her learning and great achievements? Could you have seen her only yesterday in the court of Lord Shiva's temple by the forest path? You would have passed by without deigning to look at it. If you had seen her around, you wouldn't have even paid second notice to her. She's that plain. So what use are her strength and her learning and her achievements? Because she's not beautiful, she cannot pierce a man's heart. But then she's wondering, have you grown so weary of my beauty, of this woman's beauty, that you seek in her for a man's strength? So she wants to, like, really poke him. But now you want to, find that kind of beauty in a woman who will have manly kind of beauty? Arjun says, I seem to see her in my mind's eye. He's already getting infatuated without seeing Chitra. Riding on a white horse, proudly holding the reins in her left hand, and in her right a bow like the goddess of victory, dispensing glad hope all around. He's already fallen in love with her without seeing her. Because he's a warrior. So naturally the warriorness of the princess attracts him. Like a watchful lioness, she protects the litter at her dugs with a fierce love. Look at what Arjun says. Woman's arms, though adorned with naught but unfettered strength, no bracelets, no bangles, nothing like that. Women's arms, though adorned with naught but unfettered strength, are beautiful. My heart is restless, fair one. Oh, fair one, my heart is restless for this beauty that I want to see, like a serpent reviving from his long winter sleep. He's had his full 1 year of enjoyment with Chitra, the beautiful woman, but he's restless as if, a serpent reviving from his long winter sleep. Arjun is Arjun. And then Chitra says, she's patient. She's still figuring him out. She's giving him every opportunity. She says, Arjun, tell me true. If now at once, by some magic, I could shake myself free from this voluptuous softness, this timid bloom of beauty, shrinking from the rude and healthy touch of the world, and fling it from my body like borrowed clothes, would you be able to bear it? If I stand up straight and strong with the strength of a daring heart, spurning the wiles and arts of twinning weakness, if I hold my head high like a tall young mountain fir, like a tall young mountain tree, no longer trailing in the dust like a vine, like a liana, shall I then appeal to man's eye? If I become this strong, straight standing, a warrior-like woman, would it appeal to your man's heart? Not creeping, like a vine somewhere, but like a strong tree. No, you could not endure it. She's still giving him a chance. It is better that I should keep spread about me all the dainty playthings of fugitive youth and wait for you in patience. She says, you go, find your Chitra warrior princess. I know you will not like her. You will come back crawling to me only. So would it please your heroic soul? Now this is the line Tagore puts. Would it please your heroic soul if the playmate of the night aspired to be the helpmate of the day? If the left arm learnt to share the proud right arm? That woman, the idea was that woman is to be enjoyed. But the playmate of the night becomes helpmate of the day, who becomes a companion in your dharma of the day. Would you like that? Would you like a woman who is supposed to be on always the left, left arm is usually the weaker arm. Take over the right side. Would your heroic soul be able to accept that? She's challenging him. And Arjun seems to me, see, now I can't fathom you. You seem to say something. You are in this beautiful body, but there is something else I can sense. He says, you seem to me like a goddess hidden within a golden image. I cannot touch you. You are that beautiful. Now I can't even touch you. I cannot pay you my dues in return for your priceless gift. Thus my love remains incomplete. Because you are so tender, so soft, so voluptuous, so heavenly, that I can't seem to grasp the whole of you. And it seems that you are some sort of an illusion. I grope for that ultimate you, the bare simplicity of truth. So now Arjun is growing a little wiser. And then slowly comes the last scene of the play, when Chitrangada, she is somehow convinced. Sorry, I put Chitrangada, it should be Chitra, because in Tagore's play it is all Chitra, no Chitrangada. That's why he took so much liberty in building this character, who's playing with her own identity, taking on false identity for the sake of love, giving up her warrior strength, taking on weakness to charm Arjun. But then in the last scene, she reveals herself. And then she says, I am Chitra, the king's daughter. The one for whom you were feeling so restless. I am the one. Perhaps you will remember the day when a woman came in that temple, her body loaded with ornaments and finery. Remember when she's telling the Madana and Vasanta that one day I threw my warrior clothes and I took on a purple red silk gown and I wore all kinds of ornaments. And Arjun doesn't recognize, doesn't pay attention to her. And that time he says very proudly, I have to taken a vow of celibacy. So she's reminding him, you remember when I came that day? Right? That shameless woman, she calls her now herself shameless because she was trying to woo Arjun by that artificial beauty on that day. That shameless woman came to court you as though she were a man. You rejected her, you did well. Though you were man, because only a man is supposed to court a woman. At least that's the impression. My lord, I am that woman. She was my disguise. Then by the boon of gods, I obtained for a year the most radiant beauty, the most radiant form that a mortal ever wear, and wearied my hero's heart. Your heart, my hero's heart, has become tired of this beauty that the gods gave me with the burden of the deceit. Most surely I am not that woman either. I am not that shameless woman who tried to court you that day, and I am not this woman who through the boon of a god has spent 1 year with you. But who I am, now she reveals herself. I am Chitra, no goddess to be worshipped, nor yet the object of common pity to be brushed aside like a moth with indifference. If you deign to keep me by your side in the path of danger and daring, if you allow me to share the great duties of your life, then you will know my true self. So now she is revealing in her full identity as a warrior princess that if you allow me to be your helpmate in the right sense, then our love has some meaning. Otherwise, it was all an illusion that for 1 year that you were playing. So the idea is that only true self, only the truth of our identities can have that lasting love. And then she says, if your babe, she's pregnant now, if your babe whom I'm nourishing in my womb be born a son, I shall myself teach him to be a second Arjuna and send him to you when the time comes, and then at last you will truly know me. Then I would have fulfilled my life as a woman, as a warrior, and as the Chitra that I am, the daughter of the king, because I am here to rule. And then the play ends. Arjun says, yes, now my life is full. And Tagore ends his play. No sun is there, no Babru Vahana, no nothing. But it is all about love, beauty, identity, and not hiding, not taking on a false identity for the sake of romantic love. Yeah? Okay. Now, let's move on to Sri Aurobindo. He takes it to a totally different level. So see the rungs of level. In Mahabharata, there is actually no love as such. There is just Arjun sees, he likes her, desire, has a child, moves on. Nothing. In Tagore's Chitra, there is a different kind of love, and the confusion between love, identity, beauty, all these angles are taken up. Sri Aurobindo takes it at a higher notch. This is a poem that he wrote during pre-Pondicherry, and then these pages were lost, and he was also writing Ulupi. He had this fascination for Mahabharata characters, the women characters of Mahabharata. I wish he had written something on Draupadi. If he had been in the physical for longer, I'm sure he would have written something. But Savitri, of course, as Narendra was saying in the beginning, but Ulupi and Chitrangada are his unfinished poems. The pages got mixed up. There's an interesting story behind that. Then he was in prison. Then the things were taken by the British, and eventually they landed up in the ashram. In 1949, he did slight revisions to the Chitrangada poem. But he makes it completely Chitrangada-centric, not just as a warrior princess, but also as someone aware of her mission in life, aware of her purpose in life. In Tagore's Chitra has to come to a realization. Here, Sri Aurobindo projects us right from the beginning as someone who's very aware of what her purpose is. So he starts the story with that Arjun and Chitra are together, Chitrangada are together. They are enjoying bliss of their union, joy of their union. And one day, while Arjun is still sleeping, Chitra wakes up and she goes near the window. It's just early dawn. It's still dark. Chitrangada stands there. He always uses the word Chitrangada. He stands there. She's standing there, and she's looking in this, early dawn hours, figuring something out, figuring out who she is or what next, things like that. And Arjun wakes up and he says, "Oh, why have you, gone away from the bed? What are you doing standing there near the window? Come here, come here." And Chitrangada is standing just in the dawn hour, gaze coldly in, and she understood the call. Look at, this is how Sri Aurobindo portrays his heroines. She understood the call of the dawn. Dawn is symbolic of new beginning, a new creation, a new day. So Chitrangada now has understood what this dawn wants me to do. She's very much in touch with her psychic, with her true self within. The silence and imperfect pallor passed into her heart, and in herself she grew prescient of the grey realities. She knew what is coming up next. So now this Chitrangada has evolved in Sri Aurobindo's imagination. Yeah. Okay. So when Arjun says, "Oh, where have you gone? What are you doing standing there?" He says, "How my love, are you weary of my love? What are you doing standing there? Come near, come near." And Chitrangada tells Arjun, "Great is thy love, thy very sleep impatient of this brief divorce, the brief separation that has come between you and me, and yet how easily that void will soon be fulfilled." Now she is reminding him who he is. He says, "I understand your love is great for me, but this void, even this small separation between you and me, I'm just standing near the window and you can't bear this separation. But what I know is that this brief separation will soon be filled by what? Because she has seen in the dawn what is coming next. So she is aware of that moment that is coming. No lesser occupation can forever keep thee, O hero, whose terrestrial birth heaven fostered with her seed." Now she's telling him that you are not born for being here. No, her father is not in the picture. Look at, this is why Sri Aurobindo is Sri Aurobindo. No father, it's Chitrangada who is reminding Arjun, you are not meant to be here with me. You are meant to do big things. You are a hero, you are a warrior, you have a lot of responsibilities. For what but this, to fill thy soul with battle. Your soul is filled with battle. Thou art not ours, more than the wind that lingers for a while. You're like the wind. It doesn't linger for a while. You're not ours, you're not mine to stay with me. You're just here for a few moments and you will be gone, and I know this. The gap, the void that you feel in my absence, it will go soon. To touch our hair then passes to his home. He is reminding him of his dharma. She is reminding him of his dharma. Look not into the solemn silence. Arjun is the romantic in this one. Arjun is the weak one in this Sri Aurobindo's version. He says, don't look into that grey silence of the dawn. This dawn is for ascetics. For the householder, it's the bright sun. Don't look into the dawn. All kinds of weird ideas will come into you. Like this idea that I am not here going to stay with you. I am happy with you. I want to be with you. But don't look into the dawn. Take refuge in my arms. Take in my arms refuge from the grey summons and defend thy soul until God rises with the sun. Let God rise with the sun. For us householders, morning light is good. Friendly to mortals is the living sun's great brilliant light. Friendly the cheerful noise of earth. So now he is the domesticated one. That be with me, come to the comfort of the happy married life. Don't have these weird thoughts come into your heart that I'm going to leave and I have other duties to do. I am happy with you. But Chitrangada would say no. Chitrangada says, this time, early morning, early dawn of the day, are when you are closer to the truth within. Near to the quiet truth of things, we stand in this grey moment. So this image of dawn is very important. That's why in his epic Savitri, Sri Aurobindo's first canto is the symbol dawn. Dawn is the beginning of everything. And with this dawn, this Chitrangada has realized what is the true sense of love, what is the true meaning of love. And in that understanding, she's telling Arjun, you go. You're not the kind who will stick around. So you follow your dharma. You are not meant to be with me. You're meant to do big things in life. And let me follow my dharma of being the queen, being the princess here. She says, it helps me not to bind thee for a moment to my joy. She's now giving him the freedom. You go where you have to go. The love changes completely. When we say ordinarily, if you love somebody, let them go free. This is what Chitrangada is saying, but reminding him of his dharma as a warrior. And knowing, fully aware of her own dharma as a warrior queen. And as a mother, as a would-be mother of Arjuna's son. That I will raise your son. She tells him later, but the impulse of thy mighty life will come upon thee like a wind and drive thee forth. So don't stick around, follow your dharma. And this is the knowledge that I have received from this grey moment, this early dawn. Because I know the truth of your Swabhava, now I know the truth of my Swabhava, and I know what this love is meant to be. My love is to give you this freedom to go. Quickly pass, how will it serve God's purpose in thee if you just tarry around for her transient ever merely to satisfy a woman's heart? So she keeps convincing him. Arjun is not convinced. Arjun is Arjun. He says, has my clasp slackened, or hast thou perceived a waning passion in my kiss? Do you not feel the same passion in my love? Do you not feel the same passion in my embrace? Why are you saying these things? Why are you asking me to go? Just let's be happy. Let's just play this game of unthinking pleasure, that the phrase that Tagore used. Much more my soul needs thee now than on that fated day when I met you. And he asks her to remember their first meeting. He asks her, do you remember how we met for the first time? And then Chitra replies, do I remember? Yes, that is the only thing I remember. That I was living in this great glory, this great idea that I am this warrior princess. And then Sri Aurobindo writes quite a number of lines to explain how they met and what had happened and how the warrior princess comes in front of Arjun and Arjun sees and all that. So now Arjun, because he wants to stick around and be in that romantic honeymoon phase, and Chitrangada is insistent, no, go do your duty. He's trying to convince her, let's just stay here in this hour. And she says, no, I remember, that is the only thing I remember. What other thing can I remember till forgetfulness arrive? And yet, this, after that whole number of lines, she says, this 1 year is mine till the end. The gods demand the rest. Rest of your life is given to the gods, to your clan, to your family, to your dharma. My life is also given to my dharma. We will have this long distance relationship. Whatever you follow your dharma, I follow my dharma. I loved thee as no other woman would do. Not in piecemeal. I didn't love you in bits and pieces. I loved you completely. But you are mine only for a year, and then you follow your dharma. So Chitrangada tries to convince him. He says, I used to rule my people as a princess, as a warrior, with rugged hearts, a queen that was adored until at length thou camest. You came, you brought love in my life, and I'm grateful for that. I have found love, I have experienced love, and that's good enough. We have a child coming, now our dharma takes over. This is Sri Aurobindo's reading of Chitrangada. From Veda Vyasa, how different it is. So this is the progression of love that I wanted to bring out in these 3 tellings of the same story, along with a little bit of the physical love of Ulupi. And then the story continues. And I'm going to stop here because I had one other story in mind, but I think maybe at some other point. So I'll stop here and give you an opportunity to share something, or if you have a question or anything about Ulupi's story or about any of the Chitrangada's versions.